Hello my friends and good morning. Welcome at my YouTube channel. This is Marta and today I am coming with a lovely design for a happy anniversary card. The card I am making is in the for the 35th wedding anniversary, so it's in a coral color scheme. Oh, it's a tongue twisting. Anyway, I have this beautiful Victorian rose embossing folder and I use it to emboss my front panel, and now I am just clearing all those little dots left over from the cutting this doily. And once it's ready, I will be embossing it. I also have a few other elements. I've cut myself this white circle with this teeny tiny frame in a coral color. Oh, that will be hard on today. Anyway, I'm just embossing them in two different shades just to add a little bit extra interest to my design. And besides, I didn't have a proper cardstock and I just found it in my stash. This is a Moon Glow embossing powder in a golden pumpkin blush shade, and it's got this beautiful shininess. I think this embossing powder, it's actually contains some mica powder, because once it's melted, it absolutely gives you this lovely pearl effect. And if you would like, by the way, achieve that sort of a pearl effect, you can add a little bit of the mica powder to your embossing. I've tried it once with the white and the result was absolutely spectacular. And for the leaves, those two leaves cut it from the white cardstock. They are from the Romantic Vine die from the Spellbinder range, and now I am using this absolutely gorgeous taffeta pink embossing powder. And this is the special range of the embossing powders. They are semi-transparent, like a little bit see-through, but they've got this beautiful lots of glitter and different color particles, so once it's melted, it's absolutely amazing. I love it. I have 3 of them, one in a pinkish color, one on the blue, which I was using on one of my previous cards. The blue one is called Sea Gloss, and it's also lovely. And then I have this golden color combination as well. They're absolutely amazing. So if you're ever looking for some interesting embossing powder, I definitely recommend you to check this ones. Anyway, I'm just using my heat tool to set the powder, and this one you really have to make sure you melt it really well because of the glitter. If you're not gonna do it properly, then the glitter particles will be all over the place. I'm doing 2 coats for each leaf just to give it a little bit extra more dimension and more sturdiness as well, so they will be really look like a thicker embellishments on my card. Even though I was trying to work as clean as possible, whoever worked with the glitter, the second you open the container, the glitter is all over the place. However, I'm using a dry baby wipe just to get rid of it, and it just works magic. Or you can also use the dry sheet, and they're really good for grabbing all those like little glitter parts. I'm doing a second coat of this pearly pumpkin blush embossing powder, And once it's done, it will really give me this fake, like a frame, almost like that would be like a resin embellishment, because it's really shiny, and the edges will just melt lovely. And you will see on the end photos that it's really a lovely technique. If you've got those intricate dies, try it to do like two or three layers of the embossing powder, and you will see instantly that it just looks like would be embellishment rather than a piece of paper. I'm having a couple of the green leaves, and I'm also planning to do some embossing on them. However, I don't want to cover the entire leaf, so I use my text stamp just to add a little bit interest here and there, and I'm just using the Wow Gold embossing powder just to add that shininess to those leaves. I like to do that because that way it's just something which it's give us a little bit extra to the card, and also the leaves doesn't look as plain. Once it's done, I will be also using the same golden embossing powder to color my numbers. I've got this 3 and 5 cut from the white cardstock, and this is also the alphabet comes from the spellbinder. I think it's etched alphabet. I will definitely make a list of supply on my blog, so whoever is interested to see what products I was using for today's project, you can pop into my blog. It's dropofsunshine.art. I will leave you a link in the comment section below, so you could have a look and see what I use there. Unfortunately, I forgot where I left my tweezers. I can't find it, and I was just ready to, record that video. So I just thought like, okay, I'll just do it with a hand, but I'll need to search for them. Now, another thing I would like to mention that is, if you ever notice that once you're doing your embossing and your embossing powder start bubbling a little bit, that's mean that you keeping your heating tool too close. I did that, so I had to do it with the second layer just to even it up. So whenever it happened to you, try to keep a little bit more distance, and you will see that you're not gonna be cooking that powder, so it's stop bubbling. But if you have one or two bubbles on your embossing, then let it cool a second, just once it's dry and harden up, and then just redo it over again. Once you put a second layer and try to heat it up a little bit longer, but from the higher distance just a little bit, it will all even up. The embossing powder will remelt the first layer underneath, and all the bubbles and an uneven surface, it will all melt down nicely. I'm doing the same. I'm using the same Wow gold embossing powder to embellish this. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find my words. I think I'm just a little bit distracted because once I'm recording the voiceover, I'm just looking on the camera on my son while he's sleeping, and he start wiggle. So every time he's like start moving, I'm just like turning my head around and losing my words. Anyway, I'm just using the same golden embossing powder to stamp the sentiments as happy anniversary. And very important thing, before you stamp any sort of the sentiment, you have to use the anti-static tool just to get rid of the static from the card. Otherwise you're not gonna get this sharp lovely stamped embellishment. I have this white circle that will be on the top, and this one is actually cut for the photo. I have the photo already prepared and cut to the circle shape. However, because of the purpose of the video, I'm not gonna be showing you the photo. I'm just gonna make the card till the end, and then once I finish recording, I will add the photo of the camera, because I never ask the person, the card, for whom the card is made, if I have their permission to show the photo. So I just decide I will record the video without it. I'm gluing those strips. I use the double-sided tape just to give me this lovely finish. Once you glue the double-sided tape right exactly till the edge, you will have those two layers glued perfectly. However, I do like to add the drop of the liquid glue because, as I mentioned before, sometimes your double-sided tape can dry a little bit over the years and those elements could start falling apart. So once you add the drop of the liquid glue, you have the guarantee it will stay as it is. However, I still prefer to using double-sided tape because it's quicker and it's just glued nicely. But this drop of the liquid glue, it's preventing from moving around after year passing, and besides, it's give you that little chance to wiggle the cardstock a little bit. I'm gluing this white embossed piece to this coral frame underneath, and if I would be doing the card again, I would use a little bit ink just to enhance this white edges just a little bit. To make it matching to the sentiment banner I cut a little bit later. However, sometimes you just can't see those things once you're doing the card, so it's just my afterthought what I would do later on. I am attaching this panel, and I'm trying to make it sure it's even in the middle, so those two strips of the flowery design, they just seems to be exactly the same on the both sides. I love this rosy pattern. I really do like it, and I think it's just fit this coral theme for the card. However, the pattern was too busy, and at first I was thinking of using it more in the middle on the centerpiece, but it was too very busy pattern. So once I would add all the elements, it would be just crazy busy on the card. So that's why I switched it to the white cardstock. But I think the white cardstock is very elegant, and it's always matching whenever you do any wedding, anniversary, this type of special occasion card. The white is just the color to go. And here is where you can see I am adding the pop of color to the edges of the banner I cut, and this little heart. The heart was actually punched out from one of my punches, and the colors I'm using here, it's Distress Inks in the shades Dry Marigold and Abaddon Coral. And this is the moment once I go over all the edges on a heart and on this little banner, I've decided that, I really regret I didn't go over that white panel as well. However, it's already glued to my card, and there's nothing I can do about that. It's just a thought for the next time whenever I'll be doing something similar. I could have a wee stop and just think of whether I would like to add that a little bit of a color, because it's really nice, and it's really makes your elements pop, and it's kind of adding additional layer as well, just by adding the color to the edges. I'm making sure I wipe my glass mat before I move to the next step, because so many times I was so mad about myself because this little thing can ruin your card. I was adding a color to something, I cannot remember, was it like edges of the sentiment piece or something like that, and I never wiped the glass mat underneath, and then I finished the card, and once I pick it up, I've noticed that all the color has ruined the back of the card. So make sure you keep this mat clean, or whatever surface you're working on, because last thing you want to do, you're making lots of effort to make a really nice card, and then it's all ruined because the back of the card is just dirty. Now I've got myself two brads at the beginning. I've chosen two brads from the a rose gold color. However, I've noticed that once I cut this little banner, those holes, they were too large for those brads to keep it secure properly, so I just had to look for something bigger. I have this lovely box full of the brads and all goodies, which I was given as a gift. Can you imagine that? I have more luck in my life than I can ever dream of. I've met this lovely, lovely art teacher. I think I've mentioned it 1,000 times on my videos, and she's been visiting me regularly. Because of her arthritis, she's not crafting anymore, but she's having a really, really huge studio, and she says she's happy to give it to me, like some of the goodies she's not playing with anymore. And I even offer her that I would like to buy it from her, but she says no, she's happy to give it to me for free, and this is something unbelievable. I'm more than happy and grateful for having her in my life, and it's just amazing. Also, those little flowers, you can see I am just those die cut elements. This is a gift from her as well. She gave me a couple of CDs with a tatter lace collection, and this is something you can print and have matching dies, and it's absolutely amazing. And I just love that lady, and I think I'll be praying for her till the end of my days, because she showed me such a great heart, and it's just amazing. So I'm just trying to position my circle, my doily, in right way, just to looks nicely. And then I am starting to adding all those layer of the leaves to my card arrangement. Now I'm using a hot glue gun to attach all those little pieces, and once it's glue, I will be also adding a little like a chipboard element. But once I'm gonna be gluing that, before I will glue that, I will emboss it with the golden embossing powder, just to make it match to all the theme, like the number 35 and the sentiment I've did it before. So this is a lovely technique I really, really like to do. If you've got the different elements you would like to add to the card, you can do a little bit of the golden embossing here and there on all of them. Like for example, I did on the leaves. You don't have to cover them entirely, but just like even stamp it a little bit, and that way you bounding all those elements, and it's just creating this lovely set. I'm adding a double-sided foam tape just to add a little bit dimension on my elements, so they pop out nicely from the card. And I'm trying to make sure I'm not covering this circle too much with the leaves or other elements, because I know in my head that later on I will be attaching the fall, so I need to keep it like area clean, just so I could attach it later on. And here you can see I've decided to add the golden embossing powder to my chipboard, just to make it a little bit more standing out from my composition. And this chipboard piece, you can see it actually coming from the Polish company called Skrapiniec. I will leave you a link on my blog to the shop. They really, really have those gorgeous, gorgeous designs, and they are very, very intricate. I really, really love them. I don't have many those chipboardy elements. However, I do receive a small box of them from my mom and dad as a Christmas present. I think it was last year, and I really, really love them. So this is my treasure, and I just use them for special occasion like that one. So I just thought it will be a nice addition. Now, when I was trying all the elements together, like on my card, I've noticed that oh, here's one more. I was trying to use the pearly garland underneath, just to make it a little bit like a bow effect, and glue it underneath this chipboard effect. However, because those big pearls. They are quite bulky. The chipboard frame was just sticking out too much from my composition. So here is what I did instead. Instead of it gluing that bow as it is now, because you can see the just chipboard was just, it was just too bulky for my taste, so I just didn't want to use that. So I cut those pearl on a string onto a smaller pieces, and then I just fake those loops so they still looks like there would be glue in the form of a bow underneath, but it's just fake it. So this is my advice. If you've got too much and you just don't want to add more bulkiness, you can do the same thing, just cut it and just pretend you're gluing it just like that. When I tried those flowers, I realized that this chipboardy element, it's a little bit too short. I mean, I would like to stick it out a little bit more. So I just cut it in two halves, and that way I could just glue it underneath, leaving a little space so no one will see there is a missing bit from underneath the flower. And that way I just extend my element a little bit. The last thing I will be making on my card is adding a little bow. I'm actually gonna be making two of them. One is from this lovely, like a pale color, coral color. Oh, I can't say that one, sorry. It's a coral color ribbon, which is, I think it's a 6 millimeter wide. It's very narrow, but I really, really like it. And I use a little bit of the florist wire just to secure the bow, and I am gluing it to the side, and once it's there I will make another one, but this time from this very, very thin gold string, and I will position it on top of the ribbon one, and that way I think it looks nice when you combine two ribbons, one from the string and one from the ribbon. It really, really give you this elegant look, and it's something extra interest to the card as well. So that will be my card for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for being here, for watching my tutorials, and I'm hoping they bring you some value and some ideas. I also add a little bit of the plain, like a clear Nuvo drops, and here you can see how I finished the box for the card. I just did it off camera, and this is my card. I add this little circle with the roses just because I think it looks nicest for a photo shoot, but there is a photo of the wedding couple underneath that circle, and here you can see those clear Nuvo drops I also add to the card, and this is how the card looks from the inside. Thank you once again for being here, for all your likes and comments, and I know I'm falling behind in replying to your comments, but I promise I'm gonna do that because I really, really love to read them, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here on my journey. I hope you enjoy. I'm wishing you all a wonderful Sunday. Stay blessed, Martha.